coastal one with Lisbon, I think they did all this stuff. This was somebody else. Anyways, so it's always somebody told me that. And ministers get dark to it. You're on that close to the ocean, so this is dark. Very dark. You know, coming, like getting caught out just flying along the coastal trail because you could really see the interior. So, yeah, just try to get past when it was really dark, I was creeping along the dog instead of being open, I just glued to my way back.
Better say hi to Bob. Bob, this is my spouse.
It's January.
Hi.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. Who is that?
There we are. There we go. Yay. Success.
Nicole's involved in our chipping, so we got out. Yeah. Good. This is Bob Hyatt.
I've researched you.
It's a lovely thing. You're big. Exactly.
Did you find a place?
Very happy to see you. Mostly matters. Yeah, very much. Yeah. I didn't delve into the secondary housing. Yeah, that's the other one. So, okay. What? The one that was
Good evening, everyone.
the multi-houses per.
Welcome, everybody, to the first council meeting of 2024. Happy New Year to everyone. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that the Coast Salish people, specifically the Cheyenne First Nation, on whose territory this district of Matheson building stands, and our near neighbors, the Suk Nation. We recognize and respect the First Nations governments, all of whom have long-standing relationship with the land and the sea waters that continue to this day. Okay, so moving into the agenda, we've got the agenda before you. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda with the pinks? So we've got some supplemental information that we'll add to 8B.
So
Okay. Moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. There's no presentations. Public participation. Should anybody wish to speak at the mic, we have 45 minutes allotted for this. Please state your name and your street. Everybody's welcome.
Happy New Year. Viv Bacon, chosen resident. I'm speaking against the variance on Matheson Lake Road. Not because I have an axe to grind, or not because I'm a neighbor, or it's not this particular property, it's the principle of this. And I'd just like to point out a few things to you. For the general principle, I'm sure you've noticed this is way more than twice the setback from the house. It's not just a little variance, it's a big variance. And so it's a big decision to make. And I don't really care for the analysis from the planner where she thinks it's no big deal, because everybody in the uplands has problems making a second house. Well, that's the land you bought. You bought steep slopes, you bought rocky outcrops, you bought native vegetation. And now you want to, change the OCP, change your bylaws to meet your needs. You didn't buy a house, you didn't buy a property that was suitable for 2 houses. So the planner says in her analysis that this is a relatively common variance request. That means to me, that doesn't mean to me that's why we should approve it. That means why we shouldn't approve it, because it's going to open the door to many more applications like this. And I was around when they decided on secondary detached suites. I was against it, but it went through. But the assurance we were given, if you'll recall, is that the house would be close to the principal dwelling because they'd use one driveway. If the tenant in the little cottage was a nuisance, they'd be a nuisance to the landlord first before anybody else. And it's not going to lead to a request for subdivision down the road. Whereas if the 2 properties are like this, you're on 10 acres, some future council might let them split that into 2 5-acre lots. It's the thin edge of the wedge, and I don't think on principle that should be approved. Going down to legal impacts, it says the applicant needs to explain their variance to the neighbors. But if you read the letter that the representative said to the neighbors, the letter says, we want to build a second dwelling on the property. It doesn't go into the fact that this is not allowed. It doesn't go into the fact that we have to get a variance for something that is more than double what's allowed. It doesn't explain the variance at all. It doesn't even mention the word variance. We want to build a second unit on our property. And then again so I don't think that qualifies as informed consent. I think the people that did receive this letter didn't understand that this is a major issue. It's a major hurdle that it's not conforming, and they don't even say that it's not conforming. I think that in a general principle, to say that the people who live within 60 meters of a proposed something are the ones that should be notified is crazy in a rural area. I mean, in a rural area, the people that are within 60 meters are probably 2 or 3 houses. And in fact, if you're going to break our bylaws, break our OCP, that concerns all of us. That impacts all of us. So I think you need to broaden this and think seriously about, do you want to grant double the setback to all the Uplands properties? And I don't think you should. So I hope you'll just say, be happy with what you've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak this evening?
Good evening, Nicole Shukin, Levon Road resident. I'm not speaking to any item on the agenda. I just want to wish you all happy 2024. Thank you all for your help, all your work in 2023. It was an epic year. I know 2024 will be as well. And I just want to offer a warm welcome as well to Mr. Payette.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak this evening?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Joe Kalenda. I'm here speaking on the application. Item 8A. I'm not sure if I should speak now or later.
You can speak now if you like.
Okay, sure. Well then, just to respond to the comments, the comment being from the neighbor that the neighbors who received the letters did not have informed consent because we did not explain the variance, which is the only issue that is an issue in this application. Well, in fact, the letter that went to the neighbors included a map which showed the new house, the variance or the separation distance, and also included plans and elevations of the house. So I would say the neighbors, if they said, yes, I'm okay with this, they knew exactly what we were proposing. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak this evening?
Bob Drinkwater, Matheson Lake. I am a neighbor. and I see no issues with it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, we'll move on to the rest of our items in our agenda. If you turn to page 5 of your council agenda, to the adoption of the minutes. First of all, we have the special council meeting of November 30th.
Move adoption.
Moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Comment? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And the adoption of the council meeting of December 4th.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Epp, seconded by Councillor Shukin. Any comments? Long meeting. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. And special council meeting of December 3rd on page 15 of your agenda package. Moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by Councillor Shukin. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And the special council meeting of December 20th.
Move adoption.
Moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Moving on to the receipt of the minutes. We have the Public Works and Protective Services Committee meeting of November 30th. Councillor Epp. Move receipt. Moved by Councillor Epp, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Comment? No? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Councillor Donaldson, Finance Committee meeting of December 4th.
Move receipt.
Moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by Councillor Gray. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And then the Special Finance Committee meeting of December 7th. Councillor Donaldson.
Move receipt of the budget meeting, December 7th.
Move receipt by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? Seconded by Councillor Shukin. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Moving on to, we have a Rising report. The first is from the January 8th in-camera meeting that Council has appointed Bob Payette as Chief Administrative Officer for the District of Matheson. So congratulations, Bob. Welcome to having you here. And the December 20th in-camera meeting, instant training, the Matheson School. The tenants' needs could not be met during the extended continuation of the landlord work to improve facilities contained within the demise, and the early termination of the lease has therefore been mutually agreed upon. Moving on to page 37, this is my mayor's update. December was a busy month. The fire department had a Santa Claus breakfast. Councillor Donaldson, F. and Shukin and I were able to be at that Santa's breakfast serving breakfast. It was a wonderful event. We thanked the fire chief and all the volunteer firefighters for putting on this community event. Similarly, Councillor Donaldson and I were joined by Councillor Jordison and Grove of Colwood, as well as Mayor Goodmanson and Mayor Kobayashi from Langford and Colwood, respectively, to serve lunch for Christmas at our place. It was really a wonderful event. There were somehow between 800 and 1,000. I'm not sure why there wasn't a small, more precise number, but 800 to 1,000 turkey dinners were served. It was a wonderful event. So that I encourage everybody to come along when we're asked again. I was able to attend the homecoming event for the HMCS Vancouver and Ottawa. This was on December 18th. We were joined by a number of dignitaries. It was cold but clear, no rain. There were about 600 family members on the dock waiting for their loved ones to come in for Christmas. It was a very moving event and wonderful. I was thankful to be invited. And then lastly, of course, I would like, with great pleasure, that I welcome Mr. Bob Payette to this organization. After a comprehensive search conducted by Brentwood Advisory Group, Mr. Pyatt was chosen from a long list of potential candidates. Council would like to welcome you, Flora Ringley. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Marilyn?
Yes.
Sorry, just one note of thanks to Chief Dunlop and the firefighting crew in terms of the Santa breakfast. Great crowd, and it was really actually quite wonderful to see how many young families that came out were actually the volunteer firefighters as well with their kids. So thanks to the chief.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll just offer thanks to Susan Terneski, Ms. Terneski, who's been our CEO since this council was elected and is now moving to the CFO position. So thank you.
Okay, with that, turn to page 39 of your council agenda. This is business arising from the minutes. This is Councillor Donaldson.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that in regards to the Great Victoria Library, the 2024 budget and 5-year financial plan, that council approves the Great Victoria Public Library budget and 5-year financial plan as presented.
Moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by Councillor Epp. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Continue.
And that council directs staff to prepare an advertisement for the Matheson News for January and February editions to seek interest amongst the community members in joining the Agricultural Select Committee.
Moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by Councillor Gray. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Turning to reports for action. We have the staff report, a request for a development variance permit at the address of 1050 Matheson Lake Road. This is we've been on a site visit now to this property. We were met by the owners and their representative. Many of our questions were asked or answered. The issue of the DP is the variance or the distance from the principal dwelling. So what are your thoughts on this? Who would like to start out? How about the chair of the planning committee?
Thank you very much, Mayor Little. I'm interested in hearing from my council colleagues on this one. I do want to thank the property owners for having us out. I think it was January 2nd that we did the tour. They are, by all appearances, incredibly responsible property owners. And at first blush, one does not want to get in the way of more progress in terms of what is a responsibly kept property. Still, I am having to reflect on the fact that this is twice the distance from the principal residence. And we have been through this before in terms of granting variances for secondary suites, but in some of the past instances, this has been because of fairly compelling environmental reasons. Either not wanting to ruin natural terrain, not wanting to cut more trees. And in this case, I believe that there are other options on the property, and the site itself is actually relatively flat. I do hear the property owner's concerns about disrupting some of the water lines, some of the other features if they were to move it closer, but I believe that there are options to consider. So those are my initial thoughts, and I am interested to hear what my council colleagues say about this.
Okay. Councillor Donaldson.
Thank you. Councillor Shukin makes some very good points. When we're looking at things like variances, we're looking for, variances are given for physical challenges related to whether it's steep outcroppings of rock, if those things have to be blasted, or environmental impacts on water courses, those sorts of things. Proximity to neighbors, all of that has the proximity to neighbors part of it is not what's in question here. It is mostly, as the planner has mentioned, the distance from the principal dwelling, and we're looking at a 150% increase. So when we make a bylaw, if it's going to be 50 feet from the principal dwelling, you know, if the variance was more like 60 feet, 7 feet, or 8 feet, but it's not. It's 125 feet. So there, it's a beautiful piece of property, and there appears to be other options that would not interfere with water lines or septic lines, that would not be on rocks, because we did explore some of those more rocky spots. So I do think that there are some other options available.
Okay. Anybody else wish to speak? Go ahead.
Yeah, I find this, a tough one, because the location where they want to put the secondary suite is really a great spot for it. I think given the changes that are coming at us rapid fire from the province as far as housing, it soon could be that our bylaws are about things like distances and so on are going to be a moot point anyway. However, that is our bylaw now, and I know we have approved variances in cases where there really isn't any other option because of the terrain and the trees. But in this one, that was the part that bothered me, was there's at least a couple of other sites that are closer and more reasonable as far as our bylaws are concerned for the property. So that's it's hard not to think about that, because I think maybe it would be worth them waiting a while to see what comes down from the province. But right now it's really hard to approve something that's that much of a departure.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Gray, do you want to weigh in?
Sure, I'll speak to this. I would be supporting the variance in this instance. I do see the challenging terrain that's there. So as we looked at the property, you recall how it climbs up behind, and there's nowhere really behind in terms of the distance. The workshops on the other side of the house can't go that way, and then going towards the neighbor, very quickly you're at the neighbor's laneway. So we're really talking about where would it be situated on the lawn in front. And to me, so I see the challenging terrain here. We have variances in order that we might accommodate certain circumstances. I think my concern would relate to the question of subdivision later, and the location of the site and the nature of the site suggests to me that subdivision wouldn't be possible, just where it's located relative to the house, the laneway, and the steepness of the driveway coming up from Matheson Lake Road. In terms of, and I appreciate what our resident, Ms. Bacon, was speaking to, the other issue is about nuisance, to the landowner. What's that like? Will people keep an eye on it? It's in direct sight of the main house. There's nothing in the way. There's no trees. There's nothing. So that spot there is going to impact if it's a difficult circumstance. My third, so I think it meets that threshold in terms of keeping an eye on the secondary dwelling. The other thing was proximity to the septic field, so it's right there next to the septic field. And then the question that Ms. Bacon raised about separate driveways. I suppose another driveway could be engineered at some point, but unlikely given the topography. It's a switchback type road to get there, and it seems to me we're in a situation where there won't be another driveway either. So I'm seeing it as the reason we have variances is to accommodate the odd circumstance when it arises and it just doesn't suit very well. We have been encouraging, we're open to the secondary suite, another site, so I'm kind of on side of this one.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Would it be okay to ask a question of the representative?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, I can't remember your name.
Joe.
Okay, but what I was wondering about is because the other spot I was thinking of was if you're facing a house and then looking on that side, like if you're looking at the house and would be my right, say if I'm facing the house, it seemed to me that there was enough space there and enough room between a potential site and the next door property that would that it would fit into the various variance distances. So,
Okay,
you know,
so-
why would that maybe not be a good location?
So if I understand, I'm standing in front of the house,
Yeah.
there's the door, stairs going up, and you're saying, well, what about the parcel to the right? Yeah? Okay, so,
If you're at the house looking at the lawn, then it would be on your
oh,
left.
looking at the lawn, okay.
Yeah, on the other side of the driveway.
Got it, okay, yeah. Okay, so we're on the left side of the house,
Yeah.
not the right side. The driveway's on the right side of the house, right?
Well, I guess it depends which way you're facing, but it would be
Okay.
on the other side of the driveway
All
anyway.
right. Okay, so I think the issue with the left side of the house is that you're getting pretty close to the workshop, you know? And so to put, there's the
No.
main house, then to put a second house, then there's the workshop.
No, I meant the other side,
Oh, okay.
not
all
the,
right.
not the workshop side, the other side.
Okay, in that
Finally getting
case, the issue would be, you're getting pretty close to Mr. Shazot's house,
Yeah.
which is the property next door. In fact, we actually walked into that area, remember?
Mhm.
And some of us got caught with that bramble bush on our feet or whatever. So the issue there is looking after Mr. Shazot's, you know? Because if we put it there, he's gonna see it, for sure.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for Joe while he's here?
Sorry.
No? Okay, so I'm going to speak in favor of this DP. It is a challenging topography, as many of you have mentioned. It is the easiest place and the cheapest place to build it. That is a factor for the applicants. There's no significant loss of trees. It does meet our housing needs, and you're right, we've got some serious discussions about housing to go on in Matheson, and I think we need to do all that we can. This will be a house for one of their children, so it will allow the parents to age in place. It's not feasible to change the driveway access. The place on the right side, that was some of the trees would have to come down, and it's too close to the neighbor's driveway that's on the right side when you're looking at the house. It's not feasible to build up on the up above on the hill or dig up the garden. Actually, if you were to put a house up there, it would be more easily subdividable. Because you do the 10 acres almost in half there. The septic system is confining to the front of the property, and that's why it's built off. There would be tree loss if it was built up close to the house, and on the side it's a septic system. It's not where the proposed locations, it won't be disrupting the neighbors. We couldn't see, with the exception of the driveway to the right, we couldn't see any neighbors from there. With that, I would be speaking in favor of the motion unless I can hear something else compelling at the table. Anybody else? Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, so the area that Councillor Epp is referring to, that was another option I was thinking as well. The driveway actually has a little bit of a circle driveway, so you still have a driveway going in there, even if the house comes, the proposed dwelling comes closer to the principal dwelling. As far as interfering with the neighbor, the setback is there. It only needs to be 10 feet from the property line. There are trees there, so the neighbor's house is actually set back quite a bit, I think, from that line and further up the hillside. So I still think that it has access to tie in with the water, with the septic field. There'd be some trees that would have to come down, perhaps. This isn't a big dwelling. It's the maximum size that we require for detached, which is what, 900 square feet, I think. So that still is an option.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Out the front, they could put up a big hedge and it wouldn't be subdivided, but it would, have more privacy and stuff. It is one big lawn there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
They will have to put in a driveway to go across it. Yeah.
I don't think they were planning on putting a driveway in. I think it was just a walkway.
Yeah.
Is anybody else?
No, that's correct, yeah.
So,
According to the map here, so.
yeah, the parking space would be where the little Fiat was sitting. Little green Fiat. Okay. So it's just one driveway.
Thanks, Mary Lou. The, one of the reasons why I'm doubtful about this and inclined toward not supporting it is there are other options. They may not be, the best in terms of, what the owner may want, but there are other options. And the concern I have is I often don't want to throw out the word precedent too often, because not everything is a precedent, but if we're granting a variance where there are other options of this distance, I think that does open us up to being more open the next time something comes along. Even if it's on a kind of a moral basis, that we did it once, and unless there's a good reason why we wouldn't, I think we'd find ourselves kind of, in terms of maintaining our integrity, almost granting the next one. So that is my concern. The one question I would have is we have done a number of these now. We've been pretty open to extending the setback. And in light of housing issues, I wonder if we want to begin looking at what the detached secondary setback and requirements are. Now, as Councillor Epp mentioned, there are, of course, there's a new housing legislation that's afoot. There's some information we just received quite recently about what are known as accessory dwelling units, which would be considered as detached secondary suites. It's hard to say whether there's going to be more guidance or more direction from the provincial government, but so that's still to come. So my concern is, again, setting what I believe is probably a precedent for this council. And the other question is whether we want to begin looking at whether our secondary detached suite regulations are still suitable. So particularly in light of the housing situation that the province, in fact the world, finds itself in. So,
Okay.
thank you.
And the province, am I correct in thinking that the province has signaled that they wouldn't have that distance requirement?
I'm not sure. Based on what the policy manual says, there doesn't seem to be anything in there right now. I have a hard time thinking that there's nothing else coming, but it's hard to know. So, yeah.
Okay. Does anybody else wish to speak to this matter? No? Okay. Well then, let's, does someone want to move an option? On page 42 of your Councillor Donaldson.
Yeah, I'd motion that we deny the application for development variance permit 23-02.
I'd second.
So this is moved by Councillor Donaldson, second by Councillor Shuken. Comment? No? All in favor? All opposed? Okay, so that has been defeated. That motion's been defeated. Does somebody want to also issue another option? We could either issue the developments variance or table the application and request further information from staff or the applicant. I guess we could ask further clarification from the province too, but whether we'll get it or not.
Mayor Little, I would move that we table the application and request further information from staff. I think we've got sufficient information from the applicant.
Okay, so what are we going to ask them?
I think we need to ask for more information in terms of the housing policy manual and what it says about accessory dwelling units, and also see if we can glean whether there is more information coming from the province. And that might also help us inform whether we take a look at our detached secondary suites as well.
Okay.
Sorry, the suite regulations in section 23, land use bylaw.
Okay, so Councillor Shuken has moved option 2. Do I have a seconder for that?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Speak to this.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where this is going. I just wanted to be clear what I was talking about wasn't about changing our rules or anything like that. I'm saying that no matter what our rules are, our residents have the option of coming forward and requesting a variance in the circumstance. And I think we heard a very nice summary from a resident, Ms. Bacon, earlier about, well, why were these rules in place? And then I was just offering, well, heck, I think this one is okay with the variance because it meets the intent of the rules in the first instance. I take the point, though, there may be more information. I suppose what I would be interested in addition from the residents, would be, they've heard tonight what we're talking about. Is there another site that's more suitable? In other words, what are those other sites? What makes them not doable for them? But I get the point about that you're raising. I don't know when we'll hear from the province, the next step, but they are working on it. We are aware of that.
In terms of additional sites, that's from the applicant, right?
Yes, although maybe that's not appropriate, I think.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The one other thing to consider is that secondary suites are likely going to be Matheson's contribution to housing in this area, because one of the things that's been pointed out in the policy manual is there is an exemption for the what's known as small scale multi-unit homes. So those are the triplexes, fourplexes up to 6. We appear to be exempt from that on 2 counts. One is you need both municipal sewer and municipal water, and the other is often the size of the lot. So but the one thing we still have to contend with is the fact that we will have to account for what our housing needs are going to be in 20 years, and that probably most of that is likely to be secondary suites. So there may be a need for us to address that just out of what we're in terms of what we're going to do. So yeah, so that's part of the thinking, I suppose, in terms of taking this approach right now.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just wanting to be clear in terms of the perspective that I'm putting forward, which is that we already have the ability for people to build their secondary houses, so I don't think we need to be changing all of that unless we're forced to by the province, because the possibility is there today. It's more the issue for me about whether we grant a variance or not, rather than the entire regime at the moment. Although, of course, we will hear more from the province on the topic. But I wouldn't jump to it independent of the province's push. It took such a lot of work to get this secondary suite and secondary dwelling in place in the first instance. But I'm open to more discussion, of course.
Anybody else wish to speak to this? This is on the motion to table the application or request further information. Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Nobody opposed. The motion's carried. Okay, thank you. Okay, we've got some reports for information. If you turn to page 49 of your agenda package, we have the Matheson Building Inspection Department, the permit revenues year to date. So the total revenues are $122,000. The majority of the permits were for renovations, 5 new houses. So not a lot of new builds, but lots of renovations. So I'll take a motion to receive for information.
Move to receive.
Moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by Councillor Epp. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Similarly, we have the public communications report statistics. The year up to November. The year to date. So in terms of the PCRs, mostly about roads, trees, branches, as well as some land use bylaw and enforcement. Okay. So with that, I'll take a motion to receive for information. Moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And then we have the monthly bylaw and animal care services report on page 53 and 55 of your council agenda. So this goes all the way up to November. There's been 376 hours of bylaw enforcement. So those people in the community that say we don't have bylaw enforcement, we certainly do. Some of them are animal related as well, and the statistics are there. Anybody have any comments regarding the bylaw enforcement summary? Go ahead.
Yes, I mean, I'll move receipt.
Mhm.
But I had a question, which was that from 2022 to 2023, there's been a 68% increase in hours. So I'm curious, I couldn't tell, I mean, I looked at this for a little bit, but I couldn't tell, is this because we have more complaints and actions, or is it there's more intensity? In other words, we have to keep going back to the same question. So I don't need the information tonight, but I just wonder if we might learn a bit more about that. Maybe the next time we get our report, we'll have I think this is November's, so we'll get a December report. So I might just ask if we could learn a bit about that at the time.
Given that our complaints are bylaw enforcement is complaint driven, one would think it would be the number of complaints, but certainly we'll get some information, whether it's the intensity of the investigation or the number.
Maybe, Mayor Little, it's not even maybe the intensity, it's the complexity of the
Of the
case.
situation. Yeah. Okay.
Or the repetition.
Too.
Okay, so that was moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, correspondence for action. Page 59, we have a letter from Mr. Strange, the school district number 62, regarding Child Care BC New Spaces Fund opportunity. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll move that we offer a letter of support for Child Care BC New Spaces grant application made by School District 62 for the proposed child care facility at Hanselgus Elementary.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Epp. All in favor? Or sorry, who wants to speak to this? Certainly, it's important to have more childcare spaces. Important to support women going back to work. Certainly, with all the new builds in Langford, Colwood, there will be increasing needs for childcare spaces. I'm in favor of this as well. Anybody else wish to speak to it? Okay, if not, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, we have a letter from the director of the Wounded Warriors Run of BC. This is a request for funding. My question would be to the finance chair and to the CFO. Do we have money that we have in the budget for this, or should we direct Ms. Zwen to our Grants in Aid program?
Currently, we do not have this type of money available, and the grant and aid would actually be after the dates that they list here.
Okay.
Certainly in another year, because they would know in advance. They do this every year. This is a very good cause. We had one of our residents, former employee, actually participate in the Wounded Warriors a number of years ago, and I was wondering if there was another way we could support them, but I haven't been able to find that out, other than maybe a phone call, which I get to do, to see if they could be helped in a different way, whether it's we come out and support them when they're going through a community with a run or that sort of thing. So yeah, that's all I have for the moment.
Okay. I still think it'd be great a phone call to them to tell them about the Grants and Aid program.
Sure.
If you could do that, and then ask them if we could give support in kind in some ways, I think that would be great.
That's what I was thinking. Okay.
Okay. So with that, I'll take a motion to receive this for information. Moved by Councillor Shukin, second by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
And
So-
we could, if I may,
Yeah. Go ahead.
Mayor Little, we could, it asked if we put this on the community calendar, we could put that on our website so people know about it.
Yeah, indeed. Turning to page 63 of the council agenda, we have a letter from Katrina, Honourable Member Katrine Conroy, the Ministry of Finance, invitation to participate in the 5th annual consultation on the speculation and vacancy tax. I think you've thought about this one, Councillor Shukin. What are your thoughts?
Thank you, very little. I have to say I don't have too many thoughts on this one. By the government's report, it seems to be achieving some of its ends in terms of opening up housing for habitation that wasn't previously. In terms of its local impact, I really don't have much to offer. I'd be interested to hear from the rest of the council.
So right now, Matheson is exempt from the speculation and vacancy tax, right?
It applies to us.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the way it works is if you own multiple properties and one of them is vacant, you pay a tax on the value of that property. If you're a foreign buyer, I think it's somewhere upwards of 2% on the entire value. Residents, I believe it's 0.5 or 0.5%.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Does anybody else have any comments regarding this? Would you like to be involved when participating in the consultation process? Seeing that nobody's anchoring to.
Now, well, reading the report, the way it's laid out here, it sounds like it's working, but it's working in general. And as for Councillor Shukin, I don't know the situation in Matheson, but I don't know that I don't have an interest in participating, particularly I think it's laid out and it seems to be working well.
Okay. Anybody else wish to speak to this? No? If not, I'll take a motion to receive for information. Moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Turning to page 83, we have a letter from Honourable Member of Parliament Todd Docherty with the Standing Committee of Health. I think this is an important initiative, and I would be in favor of the draft motion. I think this is quite important. So the draft motion is on page 85, and it reads, display of 988 crisis line information poster, whereas Canada has adopted 988, a national 3-digit suicide and crisis hotline, and whereas the District of Matheson recognizes that it is a significant and important initiative to ensure critical barriers are removed to those in a crisis and seeking help. Now therefore be it resolved that the District of Matheson continues to endorse the 988 crisis line initiative and will display the 988 information poster in all municipal and city buildings. So with that, I'll make the motion. Seconded by Councillor Donaldson. I think this is really important information. There's not a lot we can do for our residents that is more important than helping to prevent suicide and to assist with mental health. So that's why I would be in favor of the motion. Anybody else wish to speak to it? Go ahead.
I do. I would like to see this put on our website, to not just in the newsy part that just sort of flows through, but something that's there all the time. So that and front and center, so people actually have access to it, don't have to search for it. Because when they're in a crisis, the last thing they're thinking about is how do I find that information. But it needs to be like on our homepage or something like that. And there's a few other things that we have come across. You know, if there's just a button to push, these sorts of things popped up, it would be really helpful. But certainly this one is of great value.
Okay. Councillor Epp.
I agree. I just want to check with the fire chief that, you know, that on the emergency, next time there's a printout of those emergency cards, that maybe this could be included on that.
Okay. Great, good idea. Councillor Shukin.
Mayor Little, do we have any sense of where the posters would go?
No, prominent places in municipal buildings. So at the school, here in the lobby, any other place, the fire hall.
Right.
Yeah. we could ask for it to be, it would be also on the Matrosen Community House, the museums. Okay, anybody else wish to comment? If not, I'll call the question on the motion as I read.
Maybe I'll just offer that, I think the way the motion, I'm supporting this motion, but the way we're laying it out here is it's a permanent placement of these signs, forever and ever. And, and making sure we do that is another trick. So once these signs go up, they'll get taken down, they'll go up. So just to make the point that it's a great idea to have this access line be more widely available in our community. But I'm not sure that, I just wondered about the maintenance of it being there, which perhaps is related to a question of where would it sit precisely. So I like the idea that we talk about suicide, that we're open to talking about suicide, mental health issues, that we're ready to help people, and letting people know about the line. But there's a lot more to do in this field than just throwing up posters.
Absolutely. Okay, with that, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. So we have some correspondence for information. First of all, we have a letter from Mayor Alto of the City of Victoria regarding red light and speed cameras. The question is, does council wish to write a supportive letter to the BC government regarding the red light and the speed cameras?
Are these red like the traffic lights?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, the thing is, I think it's a great idea, but isn't pertinent and chosen at all, because we don't have any sites where there are more than 20 crashes. So,
Okay.
I guess we could support them if they need it, but I don't think that it's really that important for us to be involved in that.
However, we do travel through these communities that there's crashes, so support is always in numbers. I don't stay always in Matheson, so.
You do really?
No, I do not.
Okay. Okay, the rest of you who stay in Matrosen, are you in favor of this? Or?
I'm willing to support it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, you'll forward the motion, Councillor Shukin.
Sure. I'll make a motion that we provide support to Victoria City Council in terms of their motion around speed and red light cameras, as described in this motion.
Okay, so just with a bit of clarity, we're going to write to the provincial government to request. Actually, so we're going to add that they've asked the municipalities of the capital region and elsewhere to write similar letters. So we would write a similar letter to the province.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. I'm going to retract my motion.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
I move receipt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Moved by Councillor Shukin. Does anybody wish to move receipt? Moved by Councillor Shukin, seconded by Councillor Epp. So we could write a letter. I've got no opposition to supporting Mayor Alto. We do go in there. We use their streets. Perhaps it's more applicable to View Royal and Saanich, Esquimalt, but I think we could throw our weight behind this, but I'm happy to receive from information. Councillor Gray.
Well, I suppose the reason to support this is that we've gotten a letter from the Victoria Mayor who's trying to draw support, and there'll be some point when we'll be asking her for support for something we're doing that she's not necessarily involved in. I'm going to say it this way, not unkindly, it's a simple request with a simple response. So, then they've got the attached, I'm not sure if we call it a briefing note, but a briefing note here that provides some numbers suggesting that this is worthwhile and it works. So, I certainly support receipt, but I think it's worth following that up with a motion to send a letter.
Okay. So, did I have a seconder for that? Yeah, I did. Okay, let's take a vote on moving for receipt. Doesn't mean we can't send a letter as well. All in favor? Opposed, carried. Do you wish to put forward a motion to support Councillor Thompson and Councillor Dell in their advocacy?
Certainly. Well, I move that we support the City of Victoria and write a letter to the provincial government to request that it install speed and red light cameras at all locations in the CRD where there were 20 casualty crashes during 2018-2022. Or that if or the province allow BC municipalities to install speed and red light cameras at their own cost and collect fines.
Okay. This is moved by Councillor Gray. Could I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Discussion. Okay. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. Thank you. On page 91 of the council agenda, we have an agent for the BC Ministry of Forest with a draft pest management plan for the provincial public crown lands on southern Vancouver Island. So we have this draft PMP, and with links. I know you couldn't click on it, but I did go to it. It is quite a comprehensive 69-page draft document. There's not really much information, but we will take a motion to receive. Moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Any other comments, questions? No? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. And then we have Canada Community Building Fund BC. This is formerly the gas tax, the federal gas tax fund. And UBCM, they're writing to let us know that they've awarded and we've now received the final portion of $138,000 fund for payment. With that, I'll take a motion to receive for information. Moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by Councillor Eck. Go ahead, Councillor Gray.
So just a question, this was the gas tax, was it?
It was formerly called the gas tax,
Yeah.
yes. Now it's called the Canada Community Building Fund.
And is it limited in terms of how we use the money? Do we know?
I don't know that.
Like
Ms.
the gas
Tarnowski,
tax was.
have they put restrictions on?
There always has been conditions for the use of the funds, yes.
There are some conditions. I don't know what they are.
Okay, so we'll learn more as probably in the budget process, but thank you.
No, thank you. Perhaps Councillor Donaldson, you can find out what those restrictions will be for the $138,000 that was just deposited to our bank account. Councillor Schuman.
A question through you to either Councillor Donaldson or our Chief Financial Officer.
Sure.
Does the Community Works Fund go into general revenue, or do we put it into a reserve?
It's a
Or reserve, okay.
And that's a reserve that's already established?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, I've forgotten now. Have we got a motion to receive? No.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Schuken.
Sure, yeah.
All in favor? Opposed? Carried. And then we've got a letter on page 95 onwards regarding from the Honourable Minister Ravi Kahlon, Minister of Housing. This is regarding the housing. Again, we've talked about bills 44, 46, and 47. They indicate on the last page of their letter that we'll be notifying you later this month of the amount your local government will receive from the 51 million funding to support planning and capacity to meet these new requirements. I am not aware that we've received any funds. I've certainly not received any letters. Our Chief Financial Officer, Ms. Tarnowski, have we received any funds regarding this? No. Okay. I've not heard of any other municipality that have received funds, so we'll keep searching for that. Hopefully it'll be a substantial amount of money, and there will be parameters around that, I'm sure.
I'll move receipt. And I'll just commend to our residents that the manuals are easy to read and they answer a lot of the questions that many people have had, so it's worth a peek.
Okay, thank you. So moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Donaldson. Comments? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We have a letter from the town of View Royal. Would council consider requesting that BC Transit, would council consider writing to BC Transit with similar resolutions for fare discounts for youth? Councillor Gray.
Yeah, I'll speak in support of that and make a motion that we do indeed do as you suggest.
Okay. Okay, so did you want to read that out, just so everybody is clear what your resolution is?
Yes, that the district requests BC Transit broaden the eligibility for the free youth transit pass program from ages 12 to 13. Reduce transit fares by 50% for youth ages 14 and 15, and provide fare discounts to youth ages 16 to 18. And just second, I'll speak to it.
Seconded by Councillor Epp.
Yeah, so obviously there's costs associated with making this move, but I think the general thrust of the motion is, and this is a proposal, so that BC Transit would receive it and consider it in regards to their budget and their abilities and that sort of thing. But I think it's important to support because of the idea of pushing people, or encouraging, people to use transit as most they can, and particularly young people, so that we begin that trend of as much as we can promoting the transit service. I think it's the free passes that are available now is a success story, and it's worth supporting.
Okay. Did you mean in your motion to also include the second two resolutions?
I thought the second one was asking others in the CRD to sign on.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of done with the View Royal letter, I presume. And then the third one looks like it's sharing the letter with others. I suppose what we should do, maybe I would then, as you say, add on to copy.
Yeah, to copy the CRD Transportation Committee, First Nations, and the school districts.
That sounds like a good idea, thank you.
Okay, would that be fine with you, Councillor? Yeah. Okay. So with that, I'll call the question, or did you want to speak to it? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's funny, this just came up last night with our 16-year-old granddaughter who has had a bus pass but is not getting one now because she doesn't take the bus all the time, and it's $40-some a month for her at 16 to have that monthly bus pass. So, I really think, I think it's important. I think it's important that kids, get to use the bus when they need it, and have that ability to not have to pay quite so much money for those fares.
Oh, good point. Okay, seeing nobody else wants to address this, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, and that's so the PIGS, that is correspondence regarding 8B, the development variance permit. This was no objection from the neighbors. Okay. So we have no bylaws or other business. Question period. Does anybody wish to ask any questions?
Patty Whitehouse. I think it was about a year ago, about the last year this time, that I last asked you for an update on the lack of cell phone service in my part of Matheson. And I'm wondering if there's any updates since then, or are we doomed forever to be incommunicado?
Okay. I don't think we're doomed forever. Never in Matheson are we doomed forever. I don't know of an update. Do you know of anything, Councillor Epp?
The last we heard, we did have a meeting and found out that it would be possible if the landowners agreed that they could have a cell service provider on the crest pole that's just off Rocky Point Road. However, there was supposed to be a follow-up meeting after that. We didn't hear anything from that, so I did get in touch with Gord Horth, who's the general manager at Crest, And he said that because they were going to build, well, in addition to the tower that they already have at Beecher Bay, the fairly new tower out there, they were also going to be putting one in at Royal Bay. So he felt that the interest had kind of waned as far as Rogers or TELUS, excuse me, putting in any other service. Now, however, I agree with you. I still get roaming charges sitting in my living room, which is very annoying. And my cell phone dropped today, in fact. So I sent a note last week to the Rogers rep that we had spoken to last year, and I'm still waiting for him to get back. I just want to see if it is sort of dead in the water, or are they still interested in helping us out.
And how about TELUS, which is the provider that I would use if the service was available?
Yeah, I mean, they do combine them. Yeah, I would definitely ask him. So I'll see what he says first, and then try to get a hold of TELUS. But from what we understood last year was that TELUS had really cut costs as far as expansion, and Rogers wasn't. So they seemed to have more money. I don't know if that was just the Rogers guy trying to get a few brownie points or not. I don't know. But anyway, I will hopefully try to have more information for you.
Great, thank you for doing that. You make the point to them that it's kind of embarrassing that residents all the way up to Port Renfrew have cell service and people in Chosen do not.
It's really aggravating, actually.
It is, and yet we still get charged.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Councillor Shuker.
Question for Councillor Rapp. I think we have noticed an improvement though, because around the Matheson Lake area and, further down on Rocky Point Road, is that, am I?
That's the Beecher Bay Tower.
Yeah.
That makes a difference. Like, we're often out in East Souk in the summers, and now we used to always connect onto AT&T in the States from there, but we don't anymore.
Great.
And I am in that area and have noticed.
Okay. Anybody else wish to speak?
Excuse me.
I just wanted to clarify quickly on the Wounded Warriors Run. The fire department does participate quite heavily every year with the run, so they actually have 2 per year out in this area. One goes from Souk to Langford, and that's happening actually on February 4th. And then there's another one in March, and that's the one that goes from Port Alberni all the way down here to Victoria. And so we participate within our district, and then for the one that in March, the long one, it kind of bypasses Matheson, but we still participate with the other departments and take an engine out. And basically we just kind of, drive along in our fire engines along with the runners and kind of lead them in, that sort of thing. So we do participate that way for sure. It's not necessarily cold cash, but we participate as in the fire service. So.
Great, thank you. Thanks for that clarification. Okay, with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Donaldson, seconded by Councillor Epp. All in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you, everybody. Happy New Year.